But while they are coming up, I would like to introduce myself to you in song, if these guys are ready. Are you? So you guys can just listen and meander over at your convenience. Not so long ago, when I was very young, my mama used to kneel beside my cradle. Though I was just a babe, she whispered this to me. She knew I'd understand when I was older. She said, Lauren, you're a gem. You can do anything. The whole wide world is your parade. All you gotta do is dream. Let the others do the scheming. Come what may, some may tell you not to sing. Some may tell you not to laugh out loud. Some may tell you not to pray to your God. Don't you listen to a word they say. Some may tell you not to dance. Some may tell you not to wave your arms. They'll try to tell you not to use all your charms. That's a game some people play. Not so long ago, when I was 17, my mama let me cry upon her shoulder. Though I was still naive, she taught me to believe. She knew I'd understand when I got older. She said, Lauren, you're a jewel. People can be so cruel. Don't let them rain on your parade. Hold on tightly to your dreams. Keep your light forever beaming through the gray. Some may tell you not to sing. Some may tell you not to laugh out loud. Some may tell you not to pray to your God. But don't you listen to a word they say. Some may tell you not to dance. Some may tell you not to wave your arms. They'll try to tell you not to use all your charms. That's a game some people play. Well, as luck would have it, not so long ago, seems like yesterday, someone tried to tell me, but I heard myself say, don't you tell me not to sing. Don't you tell me not to laugh out loud. Don't you tell me not to pray to my God. I won't listen to a word you say. Don't you tell me not to dance. I gotta dance. Don't you tell me not to wave my arms. Don't you tell me not to use all my charms. It's my game, I'll play my way. Don't you tell me not to use all my charms. It's my game, I'll play my way. It's my game, I'll play my way. It's my game, I'll play my way. Thank you. As Penny so graciously said, I have been on the road for 12 and a half years, teaching people how to sing all across the country. In fact, I was home a week a month. That made for a really good relationship with my husband, to tell you the truth. And I loved every single bit of it on purpose. I think I must have learned early on that to love and be grateful for things, especially that might be a little bit difficult to do so, changed everything. For example, when I first started teaching voice lessons, teaching was something I believed was falling back on because my ego wanted to be a star. I wanted to be the quintessential performer. And yet, having to make a living, teaching was something that I really didn't want to do. And teaching one-on-one was like pulling teeth, trying to get the students to come every week, trying to get them to pay every week. Somewhere, I read or heard something that said to love my job on purpose. And love equals gratitude. We know that. So I would lie to myself. I love my job. I love my students. And even through clenched teeth, something started to shift. And within 1 month, I had a roster of over 50 students and a waiting list that wouldn't quit. And that love changed everything. That is what sent me on the road to do my work. So knowing that piece of it, when I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in April of 2012, I knew that one of my tools was this love and gratitude. And yet, having to deal with a diagnosis that is very scary, that could very well end my life, how in the world can one be grateful for this? I was shown that by finding anything to be grateful for, shifted even that, even the fear, the scariness. I'm reminded of a story of a little boy who was the eternal optimist, who was faced with a room full of nothing but horse manure. In his joy and excitement, he was shoveling this horse stuff pretty frantically, happily, gleefully. And Mom and Dad came by and said, "Honey, what are you doing?" And he said, "Well, with all this horse stuff in here, I know there's got to be a pony in here somewhere." So I decided that my job, always, but especially in this situation, was to look for the pony. They're always there. So my mantra became, show me the blessings. I know they're here. Show me the blessings. Because it's so easy to get wrapped up into the day-to-day situation. It's so easy to be in fear. What is there not to fear about cancer? And when I was able to stay in gratitude, I remembered that if the only prayer we ever say is thank you, that's enough. So I started being even grateful for cancer. I didn't even know why yet. But thank you for this opportunity, whatever this is, because I know that there are gifts in this. My grandmama was going into a retirement facility in South Bend, much like this. And she had such a loving attitude, was a fine artist in her own right, and knew that wherever she was going to love. And she walked in the place with a big smile on and said, "Isn't this beautiful?" And then walked into her room. "This is the most gorgeous room I've ever seen. The people here are so nice." And I went, "Grandmama, you've only been here 5 minutes." And she said, "Yeah, but this is what I'm making it." And she was right. Because of being grateful, even before it was shown to her, that changes everything. And did you know that love and gratitude is measurable? Think about the converse of that. I'm sure you've all had an experience where you've walked into someone's house after they've been fighting, and perhaps they're not anymore and they're being cordial, but you can feel the cold pricklies, can you not? You can also feel the warmth of a house filled with love. It's tangible. And now, because of quantum physics, it's measurable. The energy field from our bodies goes out substantially when we're happy on purpose, when we're in gratitude, and when we're in love. Now, I don't mean being in love with a partner necessarily. But when I was lying there in the hospital, unable to do, or so I thought, anything, feeling very helpless, which is the worst feeling for a doer, let me tell you. But when I went within and asked, is there something I can do right now? I heard, be love. Be grateful. I didn't even know what that looked like. But how that started to manifest was everyone that walked past my room, I would say mentally, I love you. If you knew how much I was loving you right now, you would just pop. And anyone in there cleaning my room, doctors, orderlies, that was something I could do, as helpless as I felt. And within just a couple of hours, I kid you not, people were coming into the room and saying how different it felt. What are you guys doing in here? This room feels different. It is tangible. And you know how attractive, happy, grateful people are. So to find things to be grateful for is worth the practice. Because we all know that there are plenty of things not going quite as perfectly as we would like them to go in our personal lives, in our country, for our health. And yet, when I can focus instead on what's good and be grateful that this knee doesn't hurt when this one does, it somehow shifts something. I can turn my attention and my focus somewhere else. One of the tools I have learned to love, of course, is the music I listen to during my chemo-dreamo treatments. And you all need to know I have been re-diagnosed. I have 5 more treatments now. My numbers are really good. And I knew when I was re-diagnosed, something told me that I had another opportunity to do this even better. Interesting. I had another opportunity to practice gratitude, another opportunity to heal even more deeply, and to allow other people to help. I became very public with the whole process on Facebook and asking for people's prayer support. I had no idea what a two-way street this was going to be. And by my sharing of my prayers and my gratitude, along with the fears, there is now a nationwide, worldwide community of cancer healers. I don't like to call them patients anymore because we're all healing from something. That are a wonderful source of inspiration. And knowing that we can be inspired through anything as long as we're asking for it, think about what kinds of things inspire you. And particularly how easy it is to be grateful when things are going really well in our lives. In fact, it's just as important for me to take credit for the things that aren't going quite so well, knowing how responsible we are for our own lives, and how to be grateful for some of the holy shift that happens through what we call tumultuous times. And when I can stay grateful, when I can own the feelings, maybe go through the grief and the pain and the fear on purpose as a tool, my mother and I call that going down the rabbit hole. Because if I am not willing or able to, I guess, allow and embrace my humanness, the other side of gratitude, the grief, the fear, the pain, the anguish, which, yes, there is some of that through this journey. But when I can even be grateful for that, because that makes me fully human, I am embracing my wholeness, the pain, the sorrow, the struggle, as well as the love, the glory, the happiness, the peace. all at once. There was an old tool that I gleaned long time ago that I don't know necessarily holds true any longer. I was taught to choose my feelings, to choose where I want to focus. And while we're talking about gratitude and choosing to stay in gratitude, that's one idea. But what if? What if we are here to embrace all of it? And what if the new definition of balance is not necessarily choosing a good feeling or emotion over a negative one, but noticing that they're both present in my body at the same time, the grief and the gratitude, all at once. And my job, perhaps, is to be the pinnacle of peace in between both of them, recognizing that that is fully human, embracing it all, and then being grateful that I know how to really love every bit of it, even the Holy Shift. So yes, I'm writing a book, and it is called Holy Shift, Everything's a Gift, because we know that is our truth. So with your permission, I've got another song to sing for you. I'd like to lovingly dedicate this to my grandmama. The red of the sunset is brilliant and bold. It's orange in the morning when I've got your hand to hold. Violets are vibrant and bright. When I'm with you, I see lavender in white. Green is only yellow with a little bit of blue. I am only me until I'm with you. When we get together, how the colors move and blend. Baby, you are my colorful friend. The cool of the evening is tinted in blue. The stars glow like diamonds when I'm gazing up at you. Kaleidoscopic display. When I'm with you, I see lavender in gray. Green is only yellow with a little bit of blue. I am only me until I'm with you. When we get together, how the colors move and blend. Baby, you are my colorful friend. Burgundy and rose, colors no one knows. I see when my eyes are closed. Yellow and maroon dance around the room. Every time I look at you, the cool of the evening is tinted in blue. The stars glow like diamonds when I'm gazing up at you. Kaleidoscopic display. When I'm with you, I see lavender in gray. Green is only yellow with a little bit of blue. I am only me until I'm with you. When we get together, how the colors move and Thank you. One of the comments that was made about my grandmama when she did go into the retirement community was her colors. And someone actually called my mom and complained that she always dressed like she was in Florida. She wore things like a peacock. And thank God my mother had the wherewithal to say, "Isn't it awesome?" She is a fine artist and she dresses like it. Isn't that beautiful? And the little lady had to rethink things. So when I don't feel good, I look for something to be grateful for. I put on my colors. I remember that who I was yesterday is no longer who I am today, especially now. Thank you. For those of you who don't know, I had hair down to here. I thought I was my hair. And another gift, of course, that has come out of this is learning to love this. Because loving what is, again, is pretty easy when what is lovely. When I turned 50 years old, 6 months before my diagnosis, I had reached the pinnacle of what I would consider my perfect weight, my perfect health. My tummy was flat. I was who and what I wanted to be. How conditional. Because after 4 surgeries, I have a tummy that I worked my butt off getting rid of. And I get to be grateful for being here at all, being healthy as I am, and for anything healthy in this little poochy tummy. I get to be grateful and learn to love what is in a whole new way. Big picture. A couple of months ago, I've gotten a lot better at being still, peaceful, and going into prayer and meditation. And through one of those journeys, I was asked to remember what it was I was thinking about, what it was I was asking for right before my first diagnosis. And I really had to think for a little bit. And what came through were the questions: how can I get to know you more clearly, God? How can I stay at home more often and not work so hard? How can I feel even more close with my family than I do now? And the big picture for me, how can I not worry about money? Cancer was the answer to all of those questions. Because going through this kind of health challenge, money is the least of my worries. And I surrendered to the deepest level possible and got to know my spiritual side even more deeply through this journey, which I would not have known otherwise. And my family was surrounding me through all 5 surgeries, singing me through surgery. And my surgeons were playing my CDs during surgery at my request. And because the surgeries were all 4 and 5 hours long, they all came out singing my song, which is kind of cool. The last story I'd like to share with you is probably the most dramatic part of this whole trip. Was after I was dismissed from the first surgery, which of course everything came out perfectly, cancer-free. I was looking forward to chemo, if anyone can look forward to it. And I woke up in the middle of the night not being able to breathe. They had pried a very infected ovary off of a bowel and either weakened or ripped it. I was full of sepsis. I was helicoptered from here to Indianapolis. And I woke up with a bag. I had a colostomy. And I said, okay, Spirit, what do I do with this? And like God likes to say, have fun with it. how do you have fun with a colostomy, let alone cancer? Well, I named her Lucy. I had to make a friend. I had to find something to be grateful for this. Well, interestingly enough, I'm really glad you guys are done with your lunches by now. I posted on Facebook to demystify what this stuff is. But before I did, I asked, would anyone be offended if I put pictures of Lucy up there? And I only heard from 2 friends that I knew, one of which said, you know, I dealt with my brothers like that. If I know you're going to put it up there, I just don't have to look at it. Another friend of mine said, you know, I don't really think I'd like to see your butthole. But then when I put it up there, he said, well, maybe I would. That is pretty interesting. And everyone who commented thanked me for demystifying it, including my father. I didn't realize what a big fear that was for him, ever having to maybe wear a bag. And it, as nasty as it was at times, I did find things to be grateful for Lucy. It saved my life. I wouldn't be here without Lucy. And I only wore her for 9 months, thank you God. She is now home and put back together again. But during one of the chemo treatments, I call them chemo-dreamo treatments, had to put a more positive spin on that too. Because of course what we read about chemotherapy, all the fear that goes into it, all the poison, all that stuff, that's just old news. It's much easier now, much better cocktails, much better drugs to help you with the side effects and things. So I started calling them chemo-dreamo treatments because I knew I had to stay in that gratitude and thank my cells, the ones who are giving of their lives, the healthy ones, that are being killed along with the cancer cells. At least that's what we know chemo does, right? So how could I allow that into my body with all of that negative energy? And I was reminded that the very word sacrifice, the good cells that are sacrificing their lives for my perfect health, the very word sacrifice means to be made sacred. And when I could stay in gratitude and thank those very cells for giving their lives for my perfect health, I pray over my chemo bag, I kiss my chemo bag, I give it love, I call it my liquid sunshine. And one time when I still had Lucy, and my mother was with me up in Indianapolis, I didn't know at the time to bring extra supplies, nor did I know not to eat blueberries the day before. Who knows this stuff? And when the sweet little bag started puffing up, I know it's air, right? Just to evacuate a little bit. It wasn't air. It was nasty. It was all over my pretty peach dress. I was a mess. I went to the girls' room naturally with my mother. Thank God she was there, not my father or husband. And I was 89 pounds. I was too bony to sit on the toilet. I was too weak to stand up for very long. And I was in hysterics. And Lucy was just producing like crazy. And I was in pain. And it took 45 minutes for the colostomy nurse to bring me another bag. And in that time, with my hysteria, my mom said, honey, this shouldn't be such a big deal. I changed your diapers, for God's sakes. But Mom, I'm 50 years old. This is disgusting. Nobody should have to go through this. It was very degrading. All at once, my brilliant mother starts singing to me. Today, while the blossoms still cling to the vine, one of our favorite family songs. I start singing the harmony. We sing all 3 verses and all the choruses. Meanwhile, Lucy's just doing her thing. But all at once, that whole memory shifted into sweetness. Now it's one of my favorite stories because it re-inspired my mission is to allow everyone in the world to feel comfortable enough with their voice to sing to their loved one in crises. Because it shifts the vibration. It brings it from that terror and fear up to gratitude, peace, and love. Just by the nature of the melody. It's amazing. And because of cancer, not in spite of it, the music that started to come through to help me with my own chemo treatments, I now have on CD, and I'm sending it, giving it away to other people in treatment. One of which was in San Diego, heard one of my songs and said, "Can we use that for our threshold choir?" I said, "Oh, I would be delighted. What's a threshold choir?" I looked them up online, and there are 120 choirs all over the world now. They sing for hospice at bedside, 2 or 3 people in harmony at a time. I never would have discovered nor been inspired to join the Threshold Choir if it weren't for cancer. Because before cancer, I was staying as far away from modern medicine as possible. I was using my own work for my healing. I didn't want to have anything to do with death and dying. Well, cancer shifted all of that. Thank you, God. Because I'm using my voice in the more sacred way than I've ever used it before. And it's just leading into all kinds of things. So play with this idea. I want to give you permission one day to wake up with a grump on and keep it there, just experimentally, and see what kind of day you have. Don't smile at anybody. But then the very next day, do just the opposite. Wake up grateful for no apparent reason. Smile like a ninny at yourself in the mirror first, and then at everyone you see, everywhere you go, and see what kind of day you have. We start it from the inside out. So instead of waiting for external ideas to be brought to me to be thankful for, can't I, must I, be thankful for what is here right now, and then watch everything else materialize to its true perfection, even in its imperfection. I am so grateful for this opportunity to share. Thank you all so much.